Fam, I had to just tell you guys, I don't know what's going on in Florida. This is called Swamp Thing. Accidental catch of eel-like creature leads to Florida's strangest scientific discovery of 2018. Oof. A seldom seen salamander with external gills on its head turns out to be a new species previously unknown to science, the reticulated siren. Super creepy. Guys, see that? Creepy. Oh. Another picture. Oh, I wish it would focus. Focus. Hold on. How would you guys like that little guy waking you up in the morning? Look at that. I'm getting creeped out already. There it goes. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to read you guys this just for a quick break. For years, it was just a Florida myth, a legend no one took seriously. Panhandle residents called it the leopard eel, a 2-foot-long, slimy creature with nubs where its front legs should be, spots all over its body, and what appeared to be a set of wings on either side of its head. Only a few people claim to have seen one. The most intriguing story came from an Alabama biologist who said that one rainy night in 1994, while driving near the Florida-Alabama border, he'd come across hundreds writhing in a flooded road. It was, he told fellow scientists, the most incredible natural experience he'd ever witnessed. Yuck. And then in 2009, a biologist named David Steen accidentally caught one. He had set out a wire mesh trap in the swamps around Eglin Air Force Base near Fort Walton Beach, looking for turtles. While checking one trap, he discovered it contained one of the legendary creatures curled up in the bottom, apparently just waiting for him. He quickly stuck it back in the water so it wouldn't escape. Over the next 9 years, Steen and a colleague, Sean Graham, worked on their own time and with no official funding to verify their suspicion that this was a new species, previously undescribed by any scientist. They published their findings in December, announcing that it wasn't an eel after all, but a rare type of spotted salamander known as Siren. We named the species the reticulated siren. Siren reticulate, they wrote. Their publication in the journal PLOS ONE set off a round of excited reports about this odd-looking swamp thing in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and on CNN and NPR's Science Friday. Scientific American called their discovery a highly unusual animal and one of the largest vertebrae described in the United States or Canada in the past few decades. Graham, in a blog post, wrote that a bird with comparable uniqueness to this animal would have looked something like an ostrich with polka dots. The notion that such a big and bizarre-looking creature had existed mostly unnoticed in the Florida swamps for so long raises questions about what else might be out there that no one has officially identified. For Steen, a research ecologist with the Georgia Sea Turtle Center, this is vindication for an obsession that dates back more than a decade. When he was a graduate student at Auburn University, his advisor was showing him around the university's Museum of Natural History and rapped his knuckles on a large specimen jar labeled as a salamander species called the Great Siren. The advisor said he didn't think the specimen was identified correctly and added, it's probably a new species just waiting for someone to describe it. Yuck. They didn't strike pay dirt until Steen's accident catch at Eglin. Steen said that when he'd pulled the trap up and saw what he had, he reacted with stunned silence. I'd been primed for this for years, waiting for just this moment, just to see this salamander that my friends thought was a legend. When he regained the power to move, he transferred his find into a bucket and then into a big Tupperware container. When he showed what he'd caught to Graham, his colleagues screamed hysterically and shouted, "Oh my God!" The animal's physical attributes were unusual to say the least. Those wings on its head, for instance, were actually intricately branched, tree-like external gills. While technically an amphibian, the reticulated siren spends almost its entire life underwater. Another reason why it's very hard to find. To officially identify a new species, though, Steen and Graham needed more examples to study. In their spare time, they hunted around Eglin but found no more. They tried Conacook National Forest in Alabama, where the auburn jar creature had been caught, and around an Alabama lake near where the biologists had seen so many in a road. Still no luck. Then in 2014, while searching in a marsh in northern Okaloosa County that's adjacent to the state line, they caught 3 of the salamanders, enabling them to do genetic testing and other studies required to prove it is a new species. I wish I could convey to you our excitement, Graham wrote. The rush of lifting up our traps from the swirling black murk and seeing the serpentine bodies of huge salamanders unknown to the world. Steen said he's hopeful now that they have named the creature. The state, wildlife, and environmental agencies in Alabama and Florida will be interested in learning more about them and whether they deserve endangered species protection. No matter what happens next, Graham wrote, he and Steen have the satisfaction of making a bizarre scientific discovery that nobody else ever did. We found a giant salamander under everyone's noses and described it as a new species. Yuck. So, just so you guys know, there are still creatures that we are finding that are undiscovered. Doesn't that make you feel all warm inside? Not me. Alright guys, here's something for you guys to look at, and I'm editing right now the colorism video, so bear with me guys, okay? Talk to you guys soon.